Yeah, real quick at this time, I'm going to have to ask you for your name and date of birth, sir. And
this has to be a lawful detainment.
I do want to explain to you that if you refuse or give me a false or fictitious name, it's going to be a crime.
The encounter opens with the officer immediately demanding the man's name and date of birth while claiming he is being detained for suspicious activity. But the citizen doesn't panic or simply comply. Instead, he calmly asks the question that puts the entire stop under pressure: what crime has he actually committed? He explains that reasonable and articulable suspicion must be connected to a crime, while the officer insists that he has authority to detain him. The citizen refuses to identify himself and makes it clear that he believes the officer has already misrepresented the legal basis for the detention. Within the first minute, the confrontation has already shifted from a routine inquiry into a direct challenge over constitutional authority.
What I'm going to need, though, and I'm going to explain to you that it's against the law to fail ID, I'm going to need your information, sir.
What's that?
I said real quick, I'm going to need your information. I'm going to need some kind of name, date of birth.
And I'm being detained for?
Yes. You're being detained for suspicious activity.
That's not a crime, sir.
Okay, yes, it's not a crime, but it's our job to determine if there's a crime or not.
You have to have reasonable suspicion. You have to be reasonable, articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed.
Okay.
And I'm still waiting for that crime.
School, let me ask you this.
I'm still waiting for the crime.
Did you not know that I have that authority to detain you?
You can detain me, yes you can, yes.
Thank you, and you're being detained. Here's the deal, boss.
I'm going to wait because you completely falsified that. And I really hope you put that in your report, because that's going to be a felony.
Yeah, real quick at this time, I'm going to have to ask you for your name and date of birth, sir. And
this has to be a lawful detainment.
I do want to explain to you that if you refuse or give me a false or fictitious name, it's going to be a crime.
Like I said, you have to have reasonable suspicion that a crime has been committed, and you do not have that. Okay.
At this point in time, can you tell me your name and date of birth?
Like I said, you should be familiar with Texas Penal Code 3802. And under that, I'm going to abide by that, which means I do not have to identify because you have not lawfully detained me, okay?
The officer doubles down, warning the citizen that refusing to provide a name or giving a false name could itself become a crime. The citizen remains composed and references Texas Penal Code 38.02, arguing that he does not have to identify himself because he has not been lawfully detained for a crime. The officer then relies on a complaint from another person, claiming the citizen had given someone a hard time. Instead of accepting that explanation, the citizen challenges the officer to verify the allegation and document everything accurately. Then comes the major turning point. After reviewing the situation, the officer returns with an apology and admits that the citizen was correct. He did not have to identify himself under the circumstances. After 25 years in law enforcement, the officer openly acknowledges the mistake, completely changing the direction of the encounter.
Okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'm just telling you how it is. And if you're going to make up that story, I have it documented. Okay. So if you're going to say I gave that lady a hard time, are you really going to stick with that, sir?
She said you gave her a hard time. I didn't say nothing. I'm telling you what, I'm regurgitating what she said, sir. That's my job.
Are you sure?
What do you mean, am I sure?
I hope you go in there and ask her again.
Okay, I don't have to. I just sent him in. It's all going to be recorded. I understand we have cameras too, and we have microphones too.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm not out here doing anything wrong.
Yeah. And like I said,
I just went in there to figure out what it takes.
I'm going to have to ask you your name, and then, like I said, after that, we're going to basically have to take it a step further.
A few moments later.
And here's why I owe you an apology. You're right. You don't have to identify yourself. If you're a suspect in a crime, then yeah.
I understand. I didn't hear what you said.
I said, here's why I owe you the apology. You're right. You don't have to get. You can refuse to give me your name. It's not failed ID unless you committed a crime. If I suspect you in a crime, you'd have been.
How long you been an officer?
25 years.
25 years, and you made that mistake?
I wish I walked on water. I'm not perfect. I don't think you are either, are you?
Hey, that's 101 right there.
Amen, buddy. God loves me, though. That's the good news. Have a great day, sir. You've released.
The next encounter begins with another officer pulling a driver over for what he calls a well-being check. There is an immediate problem, however. The officer admits that the driver did not commit a traffic violation. He explains that he noticed the vehicle repeatedly moving off and back onto the road and wanted to make sure the driver wasn't experiencing a medical emergency. The driver isn't satisfied with that explanation. He repeatedly asks whether he actually committed a crime or traffic infraction and requests a supervisor. Rather than simply accepting the officer's justification, he starts questioning exactly what conduct triggered the stop and whether a so-called well-being check can justify keeping him on the side of the road.
Hey,
Officer Alfonso with the Deland Police Department.
What'd you pull me over for?
For a well-being check. That's all it is. I saw that once I got behind you, you keep turning off, and then...
A well-being check, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure you're okay. You keep pulling off the road and coming back on the road and stuff, so I'm trying to see if you're having a medical emergency or anything like that, that's all.
You're pulling me over. You're stopping me from what I'm doing. Because you're concerned? Because...
Yes.
Did I commit a crime?
I said I'm just doing a well-being check on you.
Did I commit a traffic infraction?
Nope, I'm just doing a well-being check on
Is this what is your name?
Officer Alfonso with the Deland Police Department.
Who's the other officer?
What is it?
Who's the other officer?
Officer Amat. He's right over there. Just doing a well-being check on you, man. You keep
Do you have a supervisor on duty?
I can get a supervisor.
I'd like a supervisor over here. Is this something that you guys typically engage in?
What is it?
Is this something that you guys typically engage in?
We conduct well-being checks all the time whenever a car, if we see that a car is doing some type of maneuvers or anything like that.
What maneuver was it that you...
I just said that you kept pulling off and on onto the road and all.
How many times did I pull off the road?
It was a total of 2 times that you did that, so I was trying to check.
Is this the second time, the traffic stop?
No, the second time was when you pulled off into the Stetson field.
When was the first time?
The first time, it was by the potato patch, if you know where that is. That's right down there by the Dixie Lodge. I don't know if you're from the area.
Really?
Now,
is that on video?
It is, actually. My dash cam records up to a minute before anything happens.
Anything happens? So when did you start recording?
It's a minute before
the lights turned on? So I was in that Stetson lot for more than a minute.
But it's still happened under my presence. I was just doing a well-being check. The supervisor's coming. Okay, he's gonna...
Well, I mean, you're the one that pulled me over. You've got me...
Well, you requested a supervisor.
Because you've got me over here on the side of the road.
Yeah, for a well-being check. That's what it was. Yeah,
so how long do you need to conduct your well-being check?
This was it, but you called the supervisor, so I'm just waiting on my...
Because you're illegally detaining me on the side of the road, sir.
I'm just doing a well-being check.
The questioning becomes more detailed as the driver asks the officer exactly what maneuvers supposedly justified the stop. The officer claims the driver pulled off the roadway twice, but the driver challenges the timeline and points out that his dash camera records the events. He then asks how long the officer intends to conduct this well-being check. When the officer says a supervisor is coming, the driver argues that the continued detention is unlawful because the officer has already admitted there was no traffic violation. The officer responds that the driver is detained, while the driver immediately challenges that statement and points toward the flashing police lights behind him as evidence that he is obviously not free to leave. The tension rises as both sides wait for the supervisor to arrive.
Sir, I'm not detained. There's lights on behind me. You pulled me over to the side of the road. How am I supposed to believe that I'm not being detained?
Like I said, my supervisor's on his way. We'll go ahead and talk to my supervisor. You would have been free to go now because I see that you're doing perfectly fine, but you called for my supervisor. That's why.
I'm concerned that you're pulling people over for not doing anything wrong.
I got you.
I'm concerned that you're detaining people on the side of the road for no good reason.
Well, we're just doing a well-being check on you.
I'm not real concerned about your well-being checking me. You're pulling citizens over on the side of the road for their well-being? Is that what I'm to understand?
We can do that.
You can do that, huh? What kind of medical issue would somebody have pulling over on the side of the road?
Like I said, you pulled over more than once. I was trying to make sure you were okay.
I don't like to be followed by police.
Okay. It's a public roadway. I'm allowed to follow you if I wanted to.
Yep. And I guess you're allowed to illegally detain me too, huh?
I never said you were detained. I said
Sir, I'm not detained. I'm not detained. What do those lights mean?
You can leave right
okay. When an officer pulls behind you, you see what's going on here? I got pulled over for a well-being check. They want to check my well-being.
How's it going, man?
How do you think it's going? Is it Sergeant Salmon?
It is.
Why are your officers pulling people?
The driver refuses to let the phrase, well-being check, end the discussion. He repeatedly asks why he is still being held when the officer has already determined that he appears fine. He challenges the idea that repeatedly pulling over can automatically justify a detention and points out that he is legally traveling on a public roadway. When the officer says he never claimed the driver was detained, the driver immediately points to the police lights and questions how anyone could reasonably interpret the situation as voluntary. Then the supervisor arrives, giving the driver the opportunity to put the entire encounter directly to someone higher in command. He asks why officers are pulling people over when no crime or traffic violation has occurred, forcing the supervisor to address the justification for the stop.
Just pulling people over for no crime.
Okay, so he was conducting a well-being check on you. You were
Come on, man.
some
Concerning behaviors, like pulling to the side of the road safely in a safe manner.
Okay. He said you did
Not
so several
not
times.
violating
You
any
let me talk,
traffic
or
and
okay.
You have me detained on the side of the
You're
road,
not
and you don't
detained,
want to
you're free
listen to
leave.
me. Sergeant.
After the confrontation, the final message is clear: the citizen never needed to shout or become physically aggressive to challenge the officers. He simply questioned the legal basis of their actions, demanded accountability, and refused to surrender his rights without a valid reason. The earlier encounter even ended with an officer acknowledging his mistake and apologizing, while the second encounter demonstrated how quickly a routine, well-being check can become a dispute over whether someone is actually free to leave. The strongest takeaway is that knowing your rights gives you the ability to ask the right questions when police authority is being challenged. Staying calm, documenting the interaction, and demanding clear answers can completely change the balance of an encounter.